Welcome to episode 3 of the latest toy news in under 5 minutes. And with San Diego Comic Con going on right now, there's a lot of new releases hitting the shelves very soon. Now, to start things out, the good stuff. So, McFarlane have previewed 4 new figures for the DC Retro line. So, first up, we have the obligatory repaint of Batman. This time, it has been very inspired by Japan. And I actually do like the way this figure looks, so I will definitely be adding this to my collection. Next up is a Batgirl that I have to assume comes from the comic book, and whilst it looks good, it's not something that was of any great interest to me. Next up, we have another repaint of the Joker. I've now lost count of how many times this guy has been repainted, but he has been done in a much different colour scheme. A lot more sort of reddish oranges going on. He does come with the dehydrator, which I think is the first wearable accessories that these figures have ever come with, so I'm looking forward to that. Slightly disappointed they have used the head sculpt from the Platinum masked Joker, although with it being different colours, you can easily differentiate that from that special figure. And last of all, again from the comic books, we have Wonder Woman. Now, whilst this does not look like in any way, shape or form similar to Linda Carter, it is definitely the classic Wonder Woman, and I will be picking this up despite not being fully invested in the comic book figures. I do have a couple of Wonder Woman items in my collection, and this will look really nice next to them. Now, moving on to Masters of the Universe, and we have some new reveals for the comic-inspired Origins figures. So first up is Ram Man, and I gotta be honest, this face looks goofy as hell. I get it, they are trying to go with what the cartoon represented, so if that's your thing, I'm sure you'll like this. Next up, we have Man-E-Faces, which again, to my naked eye, doesn't look at all dissimilar to the original Oranges figure, but if that's your thing, go for it. Next up, we have Mantena, and this is very different to what we got in the Origins line previously. Can't say I'm a fan of it, but I guess it's all right. And lastly, we have Catra, which is a figure that I didn't expect to see come out in the Origins line. It does look rather nice, but as someone who has sold all of his Origins figures, there's nothing here that is kind of grabbing me to get back into it, but they are pretty cool figures. Now on to Star Wars. Now, the Vintage Collection are giving us another hallway display, and I do use the word display on purpose because this is absolutely not a playset, although the Hasbro employees will tell you how amazing it is that the doors click into place.
As well as a snap shut.
And this is of no interest to me. I don't know if people are still into The Mandalorian. I mean, it was last seen, a couple of years ago? The playset itself, very similar to the Tentive 4 playset that we got a number of years ago. Something that I do actually own. But again, this is not a playset. This is simply a display piece. But it does look pretty good, although The Mandalorian is not a line of figures that I would be looking to collect. And to round out this week's news, I'm sad to report that one of those overpriced HasLab Cantinas I mentioned on eBay last week has in fact sold. So it's a deluxe version, I believe. Yes, it is. It's a deluxe, and it went for $855. So whoever paid that for this, well done, you are the clown of the week. If you have this much to spend now, I'm quite sure you could have made it possible to have backed this at the time and saved yourself, $355. As for the seller, he's come out on top. He'll be making a few hundred off this. But there you go, that was this week's toy news in under 5 minutes.